Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today I want to go over some controversy that's been happening the past few days, and I thought I should shed some light on it and go into more detail, and that's in regards to, you guessed it via the thumbnail, the PS5 Heatsink, the new revised version of it, and the new model, and what this entails. So, without giving away too much, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, we are going to go over the controversy lately as of the new revised version of the PS5 model that is hitting the store shelves and everybody else's houses here in regards to the heatsink itself. So, in regards to that as well, we've had some YouTubers, we've had some influencers, we've had some tech folks kind of reviewing that and kind of shedding their light of thoughts and opinions and all that, but some of these folks are actually wrong, completely wrong, and they are also spreading what? Misinformation, which leads those to grasp onto that because they have followers and they sub to them and they get this false information, which puts things into a negative view that is not correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a quick article from Ars Technica. I'm actually new to this site, but for their quotes and everything like that, I'm going to just kind of read through it so we can kind of break it down in layman's terms to make sure that I'm not missing anything, so bear with me here. So let's go over that. Stating, over the weekend, Sony's curious new PlayStation 5 hardware revision, same price, same performance, slightly changed internals, began finding its way into fans' hands, and at least one rushed to figure out exactly why. Eventually, what this leads to is tech reporter Austin Evans posted his findings on YouTube on Saturday after sourcing a new Japanese PS5 and upgrading his purchase to overnight shipping. Go figure. The resulting breakdown is informative, though not entirely authoritative. Evans and fellow YouTuber Jimmy Champagne tore down both the new PS5 and the launch model in short order, noticing almost immediately that the new heatsink takes up far less physical real estate. Before the teardown is complete, one visible heatsink portion near the system's primary fan is reduced to enough that a finger can fit in, but that's nothing compared to the final comparison. The launch model's heatsink included complete airflow encompassing plate of copper, along with conductive metal all along the way. The updated heatsink, on the other hand, has been re-engineered to reduce both the base copper plate and the amount of metal attached to the cooling system's heat pipes, all while leaving the heat pipe concept intact and likely still relying on a liquid metal application on PS5's system-on-chip SoC. After weighing the two consoles while fully assembled, Evans then weighed the extracted heatsink constructions, finding these accounted for nearly the entirety of the 0.6 pound difference. So, however, Evans's findings come with a gross misunderstanding of what the heatsink assemblies are meant to do: dissipate internal heat by any means necessary. So his basic conclusion of the new console revision's thermals comes from pointing a thermal camera at both consoles' rear exhaust ports while testing the console's launch game, Astro's Playroom. In doing this, Evans measures an increase in exhaust temperatures that averages out to 5 degrees Celsius on the new revision. However, he doesn't run the same tests with either thermal cameras or direct temperature measurements aimed at more crucial internal spots like the SoC, system on chip, the motherboard soldered, DIMM modules, or the SSD storage expansion slot. Without that data in hand, it's unclear whether the re-engineered heatsink is getting more heat away from the crucial system elements. If that's indeed the case, Evans claims that he'd prefer to own the launch PS5, which is heavier, over engineered heatsink doesn't actually add up. Arguably, the new PS5 revision's jump in average exhaust temperature is worse for anyone who might show their console in a cramped entertainment center, at which point an abundance of copper to distribute the trapped hot air might be the only thing keeping your sweaty PS5 from buckling. So, if you're trapping a PS5 in a tiny glass enclosure, surrounding it in carpet or otherwise, misunderstanding how hot an average PS5 runs, no amount of copper will keep your console in decent shape forever. As a test of a single revised PS5, of course, Evans's examination could turn out to be anecdotal, but it stands to reason that Sony has a vested interest in both reducing manufacturing costs per console and not cheaping its way into a red ring of death scenario. Getting an extra chip shortage gear to refine and touch up the PS5's heatsink probably mean ample time to test both the SoC's heat and envelope and new airflow opportunities. And if reducing the material weight without impacting internal heat measures, or improving them, gets more consoles onto the store shelves and, according to Sony, gets them to per unit profitability, we'll take it, right? So, pretty crazy there. Ultimately, what I want to go over there in regards to that is the fact that people spread misinformation, and you have fanboys out there that just sit there, and they're fanboys, they claim they're not, they'll go over and over another video saying they're not. There's a difference between somebody saying they're not a fanboy and somebody who's saying they're not a fanboy, and they have multiple videos stating they're biased for factual information. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about bias like, hey, I prefer this controller, I prefer this operating system, I prefer this game, this exclusive game, I prefer this, that, and the other. What that means, because you can have a preference and you can have a bias towards that, that's fine. That's what makes you a fan of the console or the system itself or whatever have you. What I'm talking about is you're so biased, you're so much of a fanboy that you're looking for anything to tear apart that opposition and break it down, spread misinformation, because that's just what you like to do. Either A, you know what you're doing, or B, you don't, and you shouldn't be doing these types of videos at all, and you shouldn't be talking about this information without doing proper research. Either you are knowledgeable enough about the stuff, or you're not. And if you're not in one or the other, you are then, like I said, in option A, purposely spreading misinformation to probably benefit your likeness of your preferred platform of choice. That's something I could never do personally. I wouldn't want to do that. I give props to certain consoles and platforms and what have you when they do deserve that. And I have told you multiple times, yes, I do prefer the PlayStation. I prefer the games on there. I prefer the new controller especially. I've always liked the Xbox controller. I've never had an issue with it. To me, and don't flame at me here, but I've been really messing around with some of the newest Xbox controllers. They feel Fisher-Pricery to me, like Fisher-Price toy-like to me. I don't like the D-pad on it whatsoever. I never really have on those, but especially the newest ones and new iterations, they haven't done anything to improve that. It's been pretty similar to the previous gens, but I cannot stand the D-pad on those things, and I'm a big D-pad user when it comes to platformers and stuff like that. They're 2D. I do not use the analogs at all, so that's a preference for me, and that's just kind of how I feel. However, that doesn't take away that people love the controller and it works. For example, I was playing Fortnite on my Switch quite a few times and using the Pro controller, and I will tell you the analogs on those are much more tight and responsive to that of the PS5s even. I prefer the button layout and the D-pad on the PS5 and the triggers and everything like that much better. But I couldn't help but give props and notice that the Pro controller on the Switch actually had me aiming better and more precise, and actually helped me get those kills and wins and all that. So, I will always give credit where credit's due. But, just because you do that doesn't mean you should be spreading misinformation. Just because I feel like the controller is Fisher-Pricery on an Xbox Series X or S or whatever have you, doesn't mean it's a bad controller. It doesn't mean, hey, they use this particular plastic and I'm pretty sure of it because I ran a few tests here, even though I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing, and the few tests that I did without my proper research led me to believe this and that. No, absolutely not. That doesn't mean it's a bad controller. That's just my preference, and that's fine, and that's why I'm telling you that. And that there's nothing wrong with folks that want to go out there and say, I prefer this, that, or the other. What matters is spreading misinformation. And how I also know that, I've been seeing live feeds today when I was on lunch and stuff like that. When I was looking for restocks to help some folks out, people are on there already. Oh, that heat of the PS5 there, that new revised one and this and that. They latch onto that. They're not going to take any extra time and go out there and look at the information that they should be doing, they're going to think that's horrible and that's going to be a faulty system. We're going to have another red ring of death situation when that's not the case. So, people got to stop being so biased. But Austin Evans has lost my credibility years ago. I used to watch him here and there just because, stuff was interesting, whether I agreed with him on certain things or not. I at least found it because I thought he was pretty tech savvy when it comes to it. And he is, in all honesty, he can be. But I feel like he definitely has a bias, and that does affect certain outcomes for him and certain, breakdowns and teardowns and all that. It does affect it. And, again, I found not only this video, but many videos before that he's had clear bias, and you could tell, like, wait a minute, and he's not the only one. So I'm not just picking on him, but just for this topic of video, that's why he's up here. But there's others that do that as well. And again, you can preference whatever you want. Don't spread misinformation. I can't say it enough, because we have that in the world today, and that's why certain things are the way they are. There's a lot of misinformation, and folks do latch onto that, because once you have something in your head and once you grasp onto something, it's very hard to change that individual's mind, because they believe in their whole heart and soul that that is the case. So just kind of putting a PSA out there, do some more research. Don't always latch onto there. Really look into there if something truly is bad. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's not, it's not. And if there's some fine lines in between, definitely do your research. So, and I don't just mean one or two places. You do have to kind of go out there. I know it's a pain, and there's folks out there like myself or whoever that's maybe more versed into doing things like this and breakdowns and teardowns. But, you're going to have to get a bunch of different sources and use the overall data or overall consensus of what that situation is. So I do want to wrap it up there. Just kind of want to let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on that, because I just hate misinformation. So it looks like this new heatsink should be really well done. It should help with cost a little bit as well, weight and everything else, right? So looking forward to that. I'm sure they'll revise this multiple times as more models of it come popping out. It does for every system everywhere and every year, or not every year, but every iteration, right? So appreciate that. Thanks for sticking around the entire video, everybody. I appreciate that. We are at 109 subs. I am hoping that we can get to 150. We are kind of hitting some snags here and there. But for any help and support, and everybody that has been here, thank you so much. I still couldn't do this without you all here. So thank you. I really do mean it, and I appreciate you all out there. So thanks so much. So we'll wrap it up, and we'll see everybody next time on the next Xvault gaming video. But until then, take care.